The job of parenting our children has become increasingly more difficult over the past 30 years. This is the result of social changes, advances in educational opportunities for men and women, and also the advance of technology. Previously, parents actually had more time to spend with their children. Now, less time is spent in the company of their parents, and so parents need to be more deliberately hands-on parents so that they can manage their time well and make sure that the advantages they're experiencing in terms of education, in terms of work opportunities, it does not mean that they have to sacrifice time with their children. There are a lot of things which are a threat to parenting nowadays. For example, relationships. Mum, dad leave home very early, often come back very late. The relationship between child and parent often suffers. It is through relationships that parents can effectively communicate with their children. It is through relationships that parents learn what is going on in their child's life. What ideas do they have in their head, some of which may be negative and need to be corrected. If we don't spend quality time with our children, we may never know these things. By the time we realize, it could be too late. And so it is important that parents spend quality time with their children, set aside time to be with your children, to play with your children, to go out with your children, maybe to cook and just have fun with your children. Also, the addiction to technological gadgets such as the smartphone, the iPad, the laptop are also threats to quality family life, which need to be guarded against. And also we need to make sure that the threat or the dangers of cyberspace are made known to our children from a very early age. Parents, whilst most are aware of these threats, many are yet to become aware of the threats to the children's progress, to the children's morality, if you like, in terms of what they are now being exposed to in cyberspace, especially the social media. And we're talking about the sexualization of children, we're talking about cyberbullying, we're talking about the fact that a lot of the content of what their children are watching is actually harmful, morally and physically and spiritually harmful to their children. And this talk with their children about these dangers needs to be constant and consistent. Parents also need to educate themselves on cyberspace. A lot of parents are in a position where their children know more about how to use these gadgets and which websites and which platforms to go to than the parents, and they should not be in this situation. So education of the parents is important. But generally speaking, we are not to be afraid of the technology. Technology is a force for good. It is also a force for evil. And we need to sensitize our children to these forces, whether it is in terms of making sure that they're not influenced by other children into going to certain inappropriate sites. And also we need to make sure that we work together with the schools, because raising children is a joint effort. Though we are not parents, the school cannot take place of parents, but we can work together to make sure that our children acquire what we call the 21st century skills. Now, these skills include things like critical thinking, entrepreneurship, teamwork, financial literacy, design and innovation. These are all very important, because we're no longer in an age where it is okay to go for a job interview with a certificate. The certificate itself will not do you much good. A prospective employer wants to know, what skills, what values do you come to this organization with which will add value to what we're doing here? So the days when you could go to university, come out with a certificate, and the certificate in itself was enough, those days are fast going. So we need to be more sensitive to this too.